Going on. So, as you can see, I actually already won all 10 battles, and got all the things. Doing content for Random League did seem like the very obvious thing, and my original intention was to do a live stream, which I already did last Random League. I will link you to that in the comment section below. And I did an entire live stream based solely on just me playing through Random League, and that was the entire stream. It was just one straight thing of just me playing just battle after battle after battle until I got to 10. I am not one of these 54 battles won kind of people. And so essentially, there's not really anything new to show you other than what the deck that I ended up using 90% of my battles. And I was going to do, like I said, I was going to do a live stream, and I might still do a live stream, because I only lost, I think, once. The decks that I decided to use, just in my pool, was this Alchemist deck, this Robot Shaman, Necromancer Toxic deck, a Genie deck, and this Genie deck, I don't even know how to play. I just used it so that people would always block it. Which is gonna go to my, my suggestion for you for playing Random League. But it's gonna be this Blade Dancer deck. It's a Blooming Dash Blade Dancer deck, obviously. And this Monk deck, which is the deck that I used 90% of my battles, which I will show you and showcase in this video. But my best suggestion for you for building, I know that you're trying to, you're watching this video, you want to know how to build a deck, which deck to build. It's only gonna matter if you know how to play the deck. Because if I tell you, play Blooming Dash Blade Dancer, but you've never played Blade Dancer in your life, that would not be a good choice. Also, if they keep blocking that, that choice, then you'll never be able to play it. You have to be able to know how to play at least 3 of your decks, because even if they block 2, you just play the other one. And essentially, the decks that I felt the most comfortable with were Monk, Blade Dancer, and then this Robot Shaman deck. They always basically blocked Genie and Robot Shaman, as did I. I hate playing against Toxic in this format. It's really, really good. Genie, Riding Hood, if the player is competent, those are still probably the best decks. I just don't know how to play them. So essentially, I actively chose to build a Genie deck, specifically knowing that people would want to block it. And then this Alchemist deck is another one that sometimes people would block. There's a Hunter deck. This is all based on Royal Trials. So there's a J Hunter deck, there's a J Lightning Mage deck, and then there's the Alchemist deck from Royal Trials as well. It's the souped up, upgraded version. I wouldn't even necessarily recommend this version, but what ended up happening was they always blocked everything but the Monk deck. I actively think that the Monk deck is the best deck in this format. And I say that because it's probably the third deck that you would block if somebody was running a Riding Hood deck, I think the worst lineup, or the best lineup, it would be a Riding Hood deck, a Genie deck, a Monk deck, a Toxic deck, and one of the Royal Trial decks, a J deck or a Hunter deck or a Alchemist deck. I think if you know how to play all of those decks, those are the best decks in this format. I don't know how to play Genie because I don't have a lot of experience with it. I don't know how to play Riding Hood because I don't have a lot of experience with it. And so I went Toxic, and I went with Toxic and Monk, and then a Blooming Dash Blade Dancer deck. That bug is insanity. Every time I go back to the original screen, it just keeps doing that. I really hope they fix it, because it's really annoying. But these are my wins. And then I'll showcase the last battle, because the last battle is probably the way that you'll see most people run Monk, and I don't think it's the best for this format. So it started here. It was Monk versus, I was running Monk versus Genie. This is Monk versus Demon Hunter. I tried to switch to Demon Hunter, and then I just completely abolished the deck and remade it. But this was Demon Hunter versus Genie, and I still lost. It was crazy how much. It was a Sultanate Genie, too. And I thought that I definitely thought that I would win, and he was just pushing back the wave with the Vortex. And so it acted towards, like, when we were both gonna die, it acted like a slowdown. And so it was like adding slow to your deck. And then he ended up winning. It was Genie versus Cultist, and I did not feel comfortable with this battle at all. This is Monk versus Cultist. I still won. This is Monk versus Blade Dancer. This is Monk versus Demon Hunter. Monk versus Inquisitor. I played Alchemist once against this Demon Hunter deck, and again, I did not feel comfortable with this at all. I was running a No, I'm sorry. This is not Random Tournament. This is Royal Trials. And then I went back to Tournament, which was Monk versus Riding Hood, Monk versus Tesla, and then Monk versus Monk. I think that the the Monk deck that most people are running it's obviously the Enchant Sword version. I'm running Clown, and I will get into it, but that is how. If I did a live stream, that is basically how it would have looked. I would have and that's basically how my last video looked. I just kept picking the same deck over and over and over because I was the most comfortable with it. Because you only have a certain number of losses before you can't play anymore, the stress on wanting to play something that you know is very high. You don't even want to experiment because you don't have the space or the time for it. Like in terms of like winning the first 10 battles, you need to get those 10 battles. You need to win 10 things. Sometimes that is based on your opponent being bad. Sometimes that is you have to be the best. And in either case, it is very stressful to not always want to pick the deck that you are the most comfortable with. My best advice for you in building a deck is build a couple of like decks that you know people are going to block. Like build a Riding Hood deck, build a Genie deck, build a Robot Shaman deck, assuming that you don't know how to play those decks, but then have a couple of decks that you know how to play, that you definitively are the best at playing. And I don't know you. I don't know what you've been playing with. So I can't answer that question. Because if I told you just play Riding Hood and Genie, what if everybody always blocks Riding Hood and Genie? You have to know how to play. This mode is trying to teach you how to know how to play multiple decks. And assuming that they always block those decks that you don't know how to play, you can always play the deck that you know. And I do think that Monk is very good. But this obviously would have all changed if they kept blocking my Monk deck. I probably would have been playing a lot of Blooming Dash Blade Dancer. I probably would have been playing the Royal Trials Alchemist deck. But yeah, I do think that Monk is very unassuming. I don't think that a lot of people... I think that when they see Clown, they think that they assume that it's probably a terrible deck. And Clown is actually incredibly funny for this deck. So I'm going to get into this game. This deck is redundancy incarnate. All you're doing the entire time is just trying to play monks, and you can almost never get screwed. So assume like you have an entire board full of monks. If you merge something out, that is usually the scariest thing. And enhanced summoning with the summoner alleviated that problem. Dryad alleviates that problem. Getting a monk also obviously alleviates that problem. But if you have a full board of monk and you merge out 2 monks and you get a level 2 enchant sword, Now you need a level 2 enchant sword in order to get rid of that one. And that problem can just stack over and over and over. Even if you get a level 2 enchant sword and then you merge it with that one, you could now get a level 3 enchant sword. Now what are you going to do? The best thing about this format is that you have to find a deck that has the ability to upgrade, which is what this deck does because of Illumination. You need to have a deck that can cleanse, which this has because you have Mermaid. Since there are no counter spells that you can pick, you have to be able to get rid of negative effects. And so the Mermaid helps with that. And then you need to be able to advance your damage. And then obviously the Orb of Equilibrium helps with that. In the first round, I always did either Infinite Supply, or there's another one that gives you a chance to grow every time you merge. It has the ability to double upgrade you. I was always using that. The reason for Clown is that it's just a dead card. But it's also not just... So, one, it is a dead card. It's a card that, because it doesn't work with Harlequin, what you do is you just, when you summon it in, you just merge it into anything of that level, and it'll auto disappear, and then you can summon in again. So in this deck, if I get to the point where I have a full board of Monk, and I merge out 2 level 1s, and I get a level 2 Monk, that's obviously the best scenario, right? And then you just summon it again, and then you can fix it like that. If you get a summoner, you use Enhanced Summoning, and then it changes to anything else in your deck, and you have another shot. If it turns into a Dryad, you just obviously upgrade a Monk. If it turns into a Harlequin, you can then copy a Monk. And then if it turns into a level 2 Clown, you just copy it onto a level 2, and then now you have an extra free space, and then you summon in. And then if that's not something else useful, you can copy that and it'll automatically disappear, and then you can summon in again. There's almost no way to get stuck, and the only time that you actually get stuck is if you start to merge out higher and higher levels, because then it starts to become more time consuming to get rid of clowns, assuming that you summon in a clown, and that's pretty much your worst option. So if you summon in or if you merge out 2 level 3s and it becomes a level 4 clown, and now you have to get rid of the clown, there's a delay period between every time you try to copy something if it doesn't auto copy it. Best case scenario, it'll copy it. It'll never copy it because you have Harlequin. So what you end up having to do is you have to copy something, and then it goes down to a 3, and then you have to wait, and then it goes down to a 2, and then you have to wait, and then it goes down to a 1, and then you have to wait, and then you have to copy a 1, and then that's when it'll go away. And so when it starts to get higher and higher into the higher and higher like 3s and 4s, that's the only time you could potentially get screwed over. But at the same time, because this deck is so self-sufficient with its cleansing, upgrading, and then leveling up, you should be leveling up early in the game with your Dryads. At least one intersection of monks. Whatever your tiles are on, always use Magic Amulet. Don't use Growth Tile for any of these decks. Always use Magic Amulet because with the Growth Tile, you're only getting 2 Growth Tiles, and it's not enough. I would never use Growth Tile just in my own personal game if it was not 3 tiles or more. And so right there, you can actually merge clowns. You can actually merge 2 clowns together and get something else. So always remember that. It's not specifically just a dead card. You can merge 2 clowns together, and that also does it. So that will also save you time when you're trying to get rid of them. If you have a 2 and a 1, you're not trying to level both of them down to nothing so that you can summon in. You're trying to level down the level 2 one to a 1, and then you merge the 2. And then it can become something else. But yeah, he's running the enchant sword version, which is the regular version in any PvP game to run, because you are getting, obviously, even more increased damage, and then you're also gaining attack speed. The problem with enchant sword is you have the ability to get screwed over. Like, much worse than if I get screwed over. Right now, he has a level 2... he has a 2 Harlequin and an enhanced summoning. I'm assuming he's running enhanced summoning. Enhanced summoning summoner. I don't know why he's not. Oh, there we go. He just copied it. If you noticed, if you paid attention to the game and not me talking, if you noticed the entire left side line, I was specifically upgrading, and I was using the other rectangle as my ditch square. And that's basically what I do. You just merge out you create one line that you want to do that utilizes the like a really good square. So the level 5 in the corner is a very good square for me. It's an intersection. It's a magic amulet tile. And so I built on that line specifically with that in mind. And then I tried to use all my dryads on every unit on that line so that at the very least I would have one power intersection. Getting it to like level 3, level 4, level 5, that's kind of where you want to be. And then everything else you can kind of just fill in later. Once you get most of that line to much higher numbers. You can also, if you start merging out that rectangle to where your first intersection is the only thing that exists, you can use the monk power-up very early in the game, just again and again and again, just as soon as you can. Don't wait for a boss, because you will be able to beat bosses as long as you have one intersection. You can just use it again and again and again, and that will also free upgrade you. So that's another tip. And the biggest problem, once it starts going into double bosses, the biggest problem that I see is people that do exactly what he just did, which was merge out this late in the game, and now he's just gonna die. He lucked out right there. He actually doesn't die right here. But look how bad this is for him. Not having a full board just completely murders you. And if you can't get rid of it, it is a very big problem. Right there, he got 2 level 1s, and then he has a level 2. He has to get rid of that level 2. Because now he is strictly just doing worse than me. I have 41 stacks to his 19, so I'm gaining more stacks, and this is equivalent playing ground field. We both have the same crit. We both have the same card levels. And so if the other person has less stacks than you, you're probably going to win. And that's even much worse that he has a level 2 enchant sword that he can't do anything with. If that was a clown, I would be able to copy a level 2 and then get rid of it. And I always pick deterioration this late in the game. It just equalizes all of their creatures, all of their creatures. But this is how bad it is when you try to merge out with that deck. You are so much more prone to getting stuck with an enchant sword, and you can't do that. It's actually better to accept your lower level things and just be fine with it. And that's it.